So, a lot of you have been asking about my past as a trader at a major investment bank. So, here it is, let's get into it. So if any of you knew me when I was a teen, I had one goal in life, and that was to become a trader at a major investment bank, right? I wanted the multiple screens, I wanted the chart patterns, I wanted to work in a big building in Canary Wharf. And when I left uni, I made that dream a reality. I became a front office trader at a major American investment bank. I'd achieved my goals. But for whatever reason, I ended up, a few years later, quitting. Because it wasn't for me. I was having sleepless nights. I was not waking up with a spring in my step, ready to go to work. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 things I learned. The honest truth, my view. And look, maybe you guys have a different experience, but my view on how I felt life was like working in an investment bank in Canary Wharf here in London. Your opinions may be different. Share them in the comments. I'd love to hear your views. Some of you may be having amazing careers as investment bankers in the city, and many of these points will carry over to other corporate roles, whether you're working for a major corporate law firm or management consultancy or an accounting firm. Many of these may well carry over. So the first thing I learned is you have to be self-taught. There is no infrastructure around teaching you the ropes of what you need to learn within an investment bank. And whilst this wasn't a major setback, I was used to being a very proactive person who would go out and seek to learn the things I need to learn. There wasn't that structure where somebody was going to put their arm around your shoulder and say, you know what, these are the things you need to know in order to get promoted, to become an MD, to really, excel at investment banking. These are the bits you need to figure out. Go ahead and work on them. If you're stuck, come and give me a nudge. That culture is not there. And when you come from an academic background, when you come from having studied for many years at university and the college system, sometimes you expect that when you first start out, but that's not there. You've got to be a self-starter. You've got to get ready to get up and learn the things and push your desk as far as you can. Nobody's going to hold your hand and show you how to do that. The next one is one which hit me quite hard, and that was the reality of the rat race. Now, going into a corporate life, people tell you this, right? Your friends will be like, oh, you want to be part of the rat race? Are you sure? Don't you want to do this? And this was particularly at the start of Web 2.0. This was dating back to 2008, 2009, during the financial crisis that I was in investment banking. And at the time, the Web 2.0 was kicking off. Everybody was trying to create internet jobs. And they were saying, why would you want to be part of the rat race? And when I started working, I suddenly understood, right? I don't know if any of you have been to similar like Wall Street or Canary Wharf. In these places, before 9 o'clock, everybody comes like ants out of the tube network and goes into their offices. At lunchtime, everybody comes down, goes to the same trucks to buy their same sushi and coffee, and then they go straight back to their desk. And the same, they leave at 5 o'clock. On Friday, they'll go for a beer, and the pattern just repeats. And that really got to me, because I was like, there's more to life. There is more to life than this. There's got to be. And then within that, the rat race of the actual structure itself is hugely archaic. And for me, this is one of the big markers I learned throughout my career as an investment banker. And that was, it is not a meritocracy, right? It is hugely based on nepotism, based on which university you went to, right? Did you go to Oxford? Did you go to Cambridge? Which fraternities were you in? It is sad. It's sad that, in the century we're in, this stuff was still going on. And let me know, guys, if you're still investment banking today, does this stuff go on? Let me know in the comments. Is it true or not true that your boss or your co-workers or your seniors will care based on which university you went, what background you went, maybe what sports you went, right? Did you play croquet? I didn't know what croquet was. From the background I came from, you'd be lucky if I had a bicycle to play with, right? Croquet or polo, come on. I couldn't relate to these guys. And that really struck me, because again, coming from an academic background, going through college, going through university, you could level up based on the work you put in. You revise, you study, you deliver in the exams, and you do well, you get the grades. But suddenly that switch flipped. As soon as you enter that corporate ladder, it doesn't matter. It matters, would you go to the networking events? It mattered, were you going for that drink on a Friday night with your superior, right? Were you in their social networks that they were in? It was not about the work you were delivering. And that was a huge no-no for me. Not because I couldn't play that game, I could very well play that game. I didn't want to, right? If you can't appreciate the merit being delivered, is that a place I want to build my career in over the next 20, 30 years? And I was lucky enough that I spotted that very early on before I invested any major amounts of time in investment banking. Next up, I found that the economics just wouldn't stack up. For me, it never felt fair that if I was making, as a trader, I could sit there and in a couple of hours I can make millions of dollars for the investment bank, I get paid a tiny percentage of that. For me, the economics just never made sense. For me to one day want to get to a position where I might be MD or I might be a senior position in that investment bank, making the bank hundreds of millions of dollars, to then maybe get paid 500,000, to get paid $1 million, 2 million, 3 million, and some bonuses, right? Where is it going to get to? It just did not make sense. It did not stack up economically either. So even if I could get to terms with the points I've made previously, it just didn't make any sense for me to be working in an environment that didn't give me a buzz, that didn't give me the energy in my step, that didn't give me, the willingness to want to wake up and work, which didn't recognize the work you put in after hours because you didn't go to that networking event or because you didn't go to the same college or couldn't relate to the same hobbies as your seniors. Like, that just would never resonate with me. And then that led me to another realization, which is you're just a cog in a wheel. Yeah, working in a corporate, you are just a cog in a wheel. You're just a chimp doing a piece of work. And I know that sounds horrible. I know there are a lot of you putting awful amounts of effort into the work you're doing at major corporates. But remember, it's designed that way. If you're a major multi-billion-dollar corporation, can you really risk losing Jenny, who became such a pivotal part of your business? No. You have to make sure that your business is built like Lego. One wants to leave, slot her out, slot him in. Slot him out, slot her in. Right? You just gotta plug and play and keep it moving. So you're just a name on a spreadsheet. You may not like that, but you're just a name on a spreadsheet. And your boss and the little department that you have will try to do their best. They've learned these tactics of saying, no, you're valued. Right? You're more than that. You're valued. But absolutely not. If you want to prove your value, leave and see what happens. Your role will be replaced instantly. And guess what? This was another major realization I had. What happens when you want to leave? And I was so lucky that I entered and started my short stint in investment banking during the financial crisis. Because during the financial crisis, if you guys remember, Lehman Brothers collapsed. It was tough times across the global investment banking industry. I remember vividly sitting there on my desk as a junior, hiding, right? Doing my work because my boss wanted it in the next couple of hours and he's probably going to send me out for the coffee run as well. I remember specifically senior MDs coming out of their glass offices, going into another superior's glass office because he was called in, and coming out crying, packing his box and leaving. Wow. Having spent 20, 30 years doing one job for one firm, specializing in one thing. Like, you imagine you're the specialist at trading cross-currency swap derivatives, right? How many jobs can you go to that are that high paying? You spent 20 years studying that one particular derivative, right? There's probably like 4 investment banks that have that senior role for you to join. And if they don't have room to accept you, then you're stuffed, right? You don't have a job. You've now got an inflated lifestyle. You're used to spending that kind of money. Your family's used to it. And suddenly you've been laid off with nowhere to go. And that was a major realization for me to have in my early 20s, and really did help me kind of break free of those shackles before they really did tighten. And look, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at the time. I mean, you got to remember, this is somebody who from age 14, 15, as early as I can remember in terms of, kind of your brain forming, I'd have Bloomberg on, I'd be watching the markets, I'd be trading with paper money, and then when I suddenly got some money, I was trading throughout uni, ran the investment club, and we're trading with students. And then suddenly you land this dream job and you're working there, you've got all your monitors, it's exciting, you're in this marble building and it's all beautiful, right? Security are respecting you. They build it as a system to keep you tied in. But I was lucky. I pulled out, I quit. I just quit. I was like, this is not for me. And now, obviously, I navigate the career that I've been through. Maybe this comes across as a salty, jaded kind of experience. And look, you can only judge based on experiences you've had. So I'm really keen to hear, what have your experiences been? If you've had a positive experience in investment banking, I want to hear that down below. If you've had a negative one, share that as well with us down below. And it doesn't have to just be investment banking. Maybe you've been in a law firm or any other corporate job, management consultancy, accounting. That's what I experienced. And so when I look at those things, I knew that whatever I go into hereafter, cannot have those. I cannot just feel like a cog in a wheel. I can't be in something that is not directly merit-based. If I work harder, it has to correlate to more outcome. It has to. Like, that's just how my brain operates, very rationally, very logically. And then this brings me on to one final thing which I learned, which continues to stay with me, and it's something I try to share in my content as well. And that is that the big boys prey on retail. You may not like this may be like something that you might think is a conspiracy theory. but I've seen it, right? They prey on the small traders and they prey on the fact that you don't have access to the equipment that they have. I mean, when you're talking about the fact that I'm sat there on a trading floor in a major financial market hub here in London, and I've got access to quantitative PhDs, and there's a row with just 10 PhD guys that will build me any derivative that I want, however exotic it is. If I say I want it to do this when the market goes up and this when the market goes down, they'll go and build that for me. I've got a team of researchers that can do that. They've invested millions and millions into making sure that your connection from your computer is as close to the exchange as possible to make sure there's minimal latency. And for some reason, you've got this new breed of retail investors who are sitting there thinking they can just easily, without a day of experience, without learning anything, are just going to beat these guys on the market. There's a reason you get liquidated. There's a reason your leverage and margin positions are getting wrecked. Because these guys love that. That's what they do. That's what they're built for. And the sooner you realize what their strengths are, what they're looking to do, you can be profitable in the market. But you've got to do so with a little bit of understanding of what they're trying to do. And so that comes across in my crypto trading today. A lot of people ask me, why am I so, risk off sometimes? Why am I so careful? Why am I so cautious? Because I've seen the other bit of the gambit. I've seen how if you're reckless, if you don't take it seriously, if you don't treat it like a profession, if you're just going to gamble 10 grand here and 10 grand there, they'll scoop that up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So there you have it, guys. Those are the 6 lessons I learned from working in investment banking. Let me know what are your experiences. I'm really keen to hear them. A lot of you guys were asking me what was my experience. That was my experience, and I'm super happy that I was able to leave that really, really on. I have this really vivid memory of sitting opposite who was, at the time was one of my mentors. He was one of the guys on the inside that I really got on with and could resonate with. And he was about 10 years on from me where I was. I just started, he was 10 years into his career and he wasn't happy, right? And he'd even tell me openly he wasn't happy. And so I'd look there and I go, if I did everything right, I could be in his seat. And when I played out that scenario, I was like, this is not for me. And so look, there's the fallacy of the sunk cost, right? The years I tried to go into investment banking. If anybody knew me, like I crafted everything to get into investment banking. When I was a kid, I'd phone up the investment banks as a kid, like 14, and say, hey, investment bank, I want to be a trader one day. Can you imagine how naive this is? I want to be a trader one day. They were like, okay. And then I'll be like, okay, so what degree do I need to become a trader? They'll tell me, oh, you can do this, you can do maths, you can do econ, but it really doesn't matter. Just do what you're passionate about. Then I'd ring the uni, be like, okay, I want to do maths and econ. What A levels do I need? They'll tell me, and I passed it to get to that job. But then when I got there, it wasn't what I thought it was. And I had to just accept that was a sunk cost. Those years were a sunk cost, but it's better doing that than to be that guy opposite me who spent 10 years in the career and still wasn't happy. Hope you guys enjoyed. Smash the like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.